We're the show that aims to give you that shortcut, that real deep understanding of important topics.
And today, yeah, we're looking at something I think many people grapple with,
Yeah,
persistence.
exactly. Specifically, why do some people stick with learning something difficult like English for the long haul, while others, well, they just seem to drop off?
We've all seen it happen, right? Whether it's work goals, fitness, or definitely language learning. You hit a wall, maybe grammar gets confusing, or you
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're not improving, or it just feels overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
And some people push through, they come back the next day, maybe even more determined, but others just stop.
It really is that age-old motivation puzzle. And today we're kind of setting aside the usual explanations, natural talent or luck or even having the best resources.
Yeah, we're focusing inwards. We're looking at the internal psychology of what makes people succeed over time. And our sources today, they really center around Dr. Angela Duckworth's work.
Hmm.
Really groundbreaking research.
Right, on this one powerful psychological trait.
That's it. So this deep dive, it's grounded in her book, Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. Very influential stuff. And we have sort of a two-part goal today.
Okay.
First, understand these internal qualities that really drive that long-term success. And second, pull out and really master the key English vocabulary that describes this whole philosophy.
So for you listening, our mission is super practical. We're going to unpack six really crucial words you need not just to get the concept, but frankly, to use effectively in higher level English conversations and writing.
Exactly. We'll define them clearly, spell them out, good for writing practice, and show you how they work in, more complex sentences.
So it's like a double win. Understanding the psychology of success and boosting your advanced English vocabulary at the same time.
Think of it as leveling up your language and your mindset together. These words, they aren't just labels. They're almost like keys to unlocking your own ability to stick with things.
Okay, sounds powerful. Let's unpack this then.
All right, so to really get this, we first have to kind of challenge a big cultural idea, right? This myth about innate talent being everything.
Absolutely. The source material, Duckworth's research, it really highlights this. She studied all sorts of high achievers, cadets at West Point, kids in the National Spelling Bee, really dedicated teachers across the board.
And the expectation was, I guess, that IQ or just natural ability would be the top predictor of who succeeded.
That was the assumption. But it's precisely not what the data showed. I mean, sure, talent helps. It might make you learn faster, especially at the beginning.
Yeah, seems logical.
But it was rarely the main thing separating the absolute top performers from those who just kind of plateaued or dropped out. The real difference maker. It was commitment. Commitment to a tough goal over the long term.
Even when it got hard or boring.
Especially then. Even when it became repetitive or, frankly, yeah, quite dull sometimes. That's where the commitment showed. Okay, so this core idea brings it all together. And that leads us to our first word, maybe the most important one today. Grit.
Yes, grit. Let's really hear that word. Grit. Let's really hear that word. Grit. It's short, but packs a punch.
Grit guy.
One more time. Grit.
And the spelling is straightforward. G-R-I-T.
G-R-I-T. Now, the definition, if we pull it together from the research, is essentially this. Grit is perseverance and passion combined, specifically for long-term goals.
Okay. Passion and perseverance together.
Exactly. It means you keep putting in the effort, you stay interested over years, not just for a few weeks or months when things are exciting. It's like psychological stamina.
Stamina, I like that.
Yeah, it means you care deeply about where you're ultimately headed, and you just refuse to quit, even when, maybe everything inside you is screaming that it's too hard or it's time to stop.
Okay, let's connect that straight to our listeners learning English. Think about when you start out and suddenly realize, wow, the English people speak in real life is way faster and more complex than in the textbook.
Oh, yeah. That initial shock. Fast speech sounds like a blur, right? You maybe don't understand half of it.
Yeah.
Or that feeling when you have to speak, especially to native speakers, and you just feel awkward or shy.
That discomfort, that friction, or maybe you hit a plateau where you feel like you're studying hard but not really improving much.
Right, that's the critical point. That's where grit, or the lack of it, really shows. Most people, honestly,
Yeah.
might stop there. But grit is that internal engine that makes you keep going anyway.
So it's deciding to still spend, say, 10 minutes every day reviewing those tricky phrasal verbs.
Exactly. Or listening to that podcast, even if you only catch maybe 60%.
Yeah.
Or practicing speaking, even just talking to yourself or a language partner, pushing through the awkwardness. That is grit in action.
And this connects to something really interesting in the research, that West Point example you mentioned. That these cadets, they are objectively super talented, right? Top students.
Extremely talented, high test scores, great grades. They got into West Point, which is incredibly competitive.
But then comes this brutal initial training period. Beast barracks, they call it. And surprisingly, some of the most naturally gifted cadets are the ones who drop out.
That's the finding. The standard measures, test scores, class rank, they weren't actually the best predictors of who would make it through Beast Barracks.
So what was?
It was their score on a simple grit scale questionnaire, something that measured their tendency towards passion and, crucially, sustained perseverance. That score was a much better predictor of who finished.
Wow. So talent might get you in the door, but grit keeps you in the game.
Perfectly put. Talent helps you start fast. Grit helps you finish strong.
So for anyone listening who's maybe struggling with, I don't know, English prepositions right now or difficult pronunciation, if you choose to spend that extra 15 minutes really working on it, trying to understand it, trying to use it, you are literally practicing grit.
You are, and that's why this research feels so empowering, I think. It tells us that this quality isn't just for superheroes. Successful people have it because they just keep trying when others might find a reason to quit.
They reframe the struggle.
Right. Let's try putting this word into a couple of sentences to see how it works in a more sophisticated context.
Good idea. Example sentence 1. It is the unwavering commitment, that intrinsic grit, which allows a novice speaker to transition into fluency when faced with inevitable syntactic stumbling blocks.
Nice. And here's another one. Example sentence 2. Despite numerous initial failures in pronunciation, the student's profound grit prevented her from abandoning the arduous linguistic challenge.
What really strikes me here is the implication for people who maybe don't feel like natural language learners, the ones who learn a bit slower.
Yes. The research suggests that if those learners, the ones who maybe need to hear a word 10 times instead of 5, if they combine that with relentless effort, with grit, they can actually outperform the faster starters who maybe give up sooner.
It's the power of compounding effort over time.
Exactly. That 10 minutes of focused practice every single day for 3 years. It blows away cramming for 4 hours once every few weeks over the same period. Grit is how you make consistency pay off.
Okay, so we've got DRITE as the foundation, this combination of passion and perseverance. Let's break that down now. The source material is clear. You need both. They work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You can't really have true sustainable grit with just one. They're like two pillars holding up the structure. One is the emotional core, the love for what you're doing. The other is the behavioral part, the just, not quitting.
Let's start with the emotion, the fuel, maybe.
Right. So our second key word relates to that deep emotional investment. It's passion.
Passion. Let's hear it again.
Passion.
One more
Just
time.
passion.
Spelling is P-A-S-S-I-O-N.
P-A-S-S-I-O-N. Now, the definition of passion here isn't just, liking something casually or a fleeting interest.
Not just a hobby.
No. It's a strong, deep, and really enduring love for something, an activity, a goal that genuinely directs how you spend your time and energy. And crucially, the research emphasizes passion isn't just about the fun parts.
Interesting. What do you mean?
It's about a deep commitment, almost like a core value related to that goal. It helps define who you are, in a way.
That's different from how we usually think about passion, isn't it? We often imagine it like the sudden lightning bolt, love at first sight.
Exactly. Like you just wake up one day and bam, you're passionate about, say, astrophysics or learning English.
Yeah. But if passion is needed for grit, and grit takes years, how do you stick with something long enough to even find that passion if it doesn't hit you right away? Does the research talk about that beginning phase?
It does, and that's a really important point. Duckworth actually talks about passion developing gradually. It often starts simply as interest.
Oh.
She outlines these stages. Interest comes first. Then comes practice doing the work. Then purpose, connecting it to something bigger. And finally, hope, believing you can improve. Passion really grows in those first two stages, interest and practice.
So for learning English, maybe you start because you have to for a job, right? That's the initial interest, maybe not even a strong one.
Could be an external reason. But then, as you start doing the work, the practice, maybe you start finding things you genuinely enjoy. Perhaps you discover you actually like the puzzle of figuring out grammar, or you get a real kick out of understanding a song lyric or a movie line without subtitles.
Or the joy of actually communicating something to someone from another culture.
Precisely. That's passion starting to emerge. It's that shift from just doing it because I have to towards doing it because there's something intrinsically rewarding here for me.
And that internal reward, that passion, is what carries you through the inevitable boring days.
Exactly. When you're tired, when the vocabulary list seems endless, when maybe friends are saying, "Are you still studying English?" That deeper personal connection, that passion, keeps your internal motivation going.
So the message isn't wait for passion to strike. It's more like start with curiosity, commit to the practice, and passion can actually grow out of the effort itself.
You got it. The sustained work can actually create the passion. Let's try a couple of example sentences with passion. Example sentence 1. Her professional advancement was intrinsically linked to her profound passion for linguistic analysis, evident in her tireless pursuit of complex English idiomatic expressions.
Ooh, nice vocabulary in there too. Okay, second one.
Example sentence 2. While the initial task of memorizing vocabulary was mundane, his underlying passion for transnational communication eventually rendered the rote work meaningful.
All right, so if passion is the fuel, the deep love for it, then perseverance sounds like the engine, the part that keeps going even when the road gets bumpy.
That's a great analogy. Yeah, perseverance is our third keyword, and it's definitely the more active behavioral part of grit.
Okay, let's get the pronunciation right. This one's a bit longer. Perseverance.
Good. Perseverance. Notice the syllables. Perseverance.
Perseverance.
One more time. Perseverance.
And the spelling. Let's get this one right. Perseverance.
Perseverance. Good. So the definition of perseverance is really about sustained effort. It's persistence, it's tenacity. It's continuing towards your goal despite difficulties, despite obstacles, despite feeling discouraged.
It's basically not giving up when things get hard.
It is, but it's also a bit more nuanced than just stubbornness.
Yeah.
It requires a fundamental shift in how you view setbacks, how you view failure.
How so?
Well, the research suggests gritty people don't see failure as like a final judgment on their abilities. They don't think, "Oh, I failed, I must be bad at this."
They see it more as information.
Exactly. They treat it as diagnostic data. Okay, that didn't work. Why not? What can I learn from this? What do I need to adjust? It's failure as a temporary navigational error, not a permanent character flaw.
So perseverance isn't just trying again, it's trying again differently, maybe smarter.
Yes, that's key. It's coupled with adaptation. If you mispronounce a word in a presentation and feel embarrassed, oh, definitely. The person with perseverance doesn't just retreat and avoid speaking. They might think, okay, that was uncomfortable. Maybe I need to practice that specific sound more, or slow down, or prepare differently next time. They learn and adjust.
I remember the source mentioning those spelling bee kids again here. They spend hundreds of hours on obscure words.
Right, and when a really gritty contestant gets eliminated on a tough word, they don't just quit spelling forever. They often analyze why they missed it. Was it a specific Latin root they didn't know? Did nerves get the better of them?
And they use that information for next time.
Exactly. They persevere by addressing the specific weakness they identified. That's perseverance linked with learning.
This is so relevant for language learning. You will make mistakes. You will feel embarrassed sometimes when you try to speak.
Absolutely unavoidable.
The non-gritty response is maybe to just stop trying to speak, to stick to reading or listening where it feels safer.
Right. But the person building perseverance acknowledges the mistake, accepts the discomfort as part of the process, maybe even sees it as proof their brain is being stretched and commits to trying again. Maybe in a slightly different way, maybe just trying the same thing again tomorrow. They see the struggle as where the learning actually happens.
So perseverance is really about resilience. It's that inner strength you call on when everything is pushing you to just quit.
Well put. It's thriving because of the challenges, not just in spite of them. Let's lock perseverance in with 2 example sentences.
Okay.
Example sentence 1. The linguist's sheer perseverance through repeated grammatical complexity allowed her to finally synthesize the disparate components of the verb system.
Captures that struggle.
And example sentence 2. It takes remarkable intellectual perseverance to stay motivated when language acquisition plateaus, yielding diminishing returns on daily effort.
Okay, so we have the internal mindset. Passion fuels it. Perseverance drives it. But these are qualities, right?
Yeah.
How do we actually do grit? What are the practical tools, the habits that let us keep these going for years?
That's the crucial next step. Because grit isn't about heroic one-off efforts. It's about structure and routine. We need to move away from that common pattern of, studying like crazy for a week before a test and then doing nothing for a month.
The binge and purge model of studying.
Exactly. That sporadic, high-intensity stuff. It feels productive, but it's often not the most effective way long term. We need something more reliable. And that brings us to our next key word, hashtag 3.1, consistency over speed, teaching word 4.
Right. The word that describes this reliable structure is consistent.
Yes, let's hear that clearly. Consistent.
Consistent.
One more time. Consistent.
Spelling, C-O-N-S-I-S-T-E-N-T.
C-O-N-S-I-S-T-E-N-T. So consistent basically means doing something in the same way regularly over time, maintaining a standard. It's all about regularity and uniformity in your effort.
Now, we often hear be consistent, but why is it actually better than, say, one really long study session per week?
Yeah.
You mentioned the comparison. 10 minutes daily versus 4 hours weekly.
Right. The outcome is often better with the daily 10 minutes. But why? It comes down to how our brains learn and remember. It involves concepts like neuroplasticity and, importantly, the spacing effect.
The spacing effect.
Yeah. When you revisit information or practice a skill in short bursts spread out over time, like your daily 10 minutes, your brain has to work a little harder each time to retrieve that information. That retrieval effort strengthens the neural pathways.
Ah, like lifting a weight repeatedly makes the muscle stronger.
Kind of. Whereas if you cram for 4 hours straight, that's called massed practice. The information might feel fresh right afterward, but it tends to fade much faster because you haven't built those strong retrieval pathways over time.
So with the 4-hour session, you might spend the first hour just trying to remember what you forgot from last week.
Often, yes. Whereas with daily practice, the forgetting is less and the reinforcement is constant. This is absolutely vital for something as complex as language.
How so?
Well, daily, consistent listening actually trains the auditory processing parts of your brain. Daily short speaking practice builds the muscle memory in your mouth, making pronunciation smoother and less effortful over time. You're building habits, not just knowledge.
And does being consistent have a psychological benefit too?
Huge. It builds what psychologists call self-efficacy, your belief in your own ability to succeed. When you keep a small promise to yourself every day, I will study English for 15 minutes. You start to trust yourself.
And that self-trust makes you feel more capable of tackling bigger challenges later.
Exactly. It fuels perseverance. If you know you can rely on yourself for the small daily effort, you gain confidence for the long journey. The source material is really clear on this. Meaningful growth stacks up from these small, almost invisible, consistent daily actions.
Like watering a plant every day versus flooding it once a week.
Perfect analogy. Let's see. Consistent in action with 2 sentences.
Okay.
Example sentence 1. A consistent application of deliberate practice, rather than sporadic high-intensity study sessions, is the prerequisite for achieving linguistic mastery.
Prerequisite. Nice word there too.
Okay.
Guessed one.
Example sentence 2. The committee praised the researcher for his consistent high-fidelity methodology, which yielded reliable and reproducible results over the 5-year duration of the study. Hashtag 3.2. Effective practice.
All right, so consistency is key, showing up daily. But just showing up isn't the whole story, is it? The quality of that consistent practice matters.
Absolutely critical. Gritty people don't just put in time. They put in focused, effective time. The research calls this deliberate practice, and this is where many learners honestly fall short.
How so? What's the difference between just practicing and deliberate practice?
Deliberate practice isn't just passively consuming information. It's highly active and targeted. It involves specifically identifying your weaknesses, the things you're not good at yet.
Okay, so finding the weak spots.
Yes. Then setting very specific, small goals to improve that weak spot. Focusing all your attention on that goal during practice. And this is crucial, seeking immediate feedback on how you did.
So just reading an English book might be practice, but it's not necessarily deliberate practice.
Generally, no. It's good exposure. But deliberate practice would be reading that book and actively stopping when you hit a complex sentence structure you don't understand. Maybe you analyze it, try to replicate it, write it down, say it aloud.
Or noticing unfamiliar vocabulary, looking it up, and then immediately trying to use it in your own sentence.
Exactly. It's active engagement with the difficult parts. Let's make it even more concrete for English learners.
Yeah.
Say your weakness is pronouncing the sound, like in thing versus sing.
A common one.
Very common. Deliberate practice isn't just reading aloud randomly. It's finding lists of words with the, maybe practicing minimal pairs, things, sing, three free, maybe recording yourself and comparing it to a native speaker's pronunciation. It's focused, repetitive, and aimed squarely at the weakness.
Or if you struggle with, say, using the past perfect tense correctly.
Deliberate practice would be find examples, Analyze why the past perfect is used there, then write 5 new sentences using that tense in a similar context, and ideally get someone knowledgeable, a teacher, a fluent speaker, to check if you used it right.
Yeah.
It requires concentration.
Yeah, that sounds much more demanding than just passively listening or reading.
It is. That's
Yeah.
the point. Deliberate practice is often uncomfortable. It pushes you just outside your current skill level. It's usually not fun in the easy sense of the word.
And this is where grit really gets tested again, right? The willingness to do that demanding, focused work consistently day after day.
Precisely. Especially because the results aren't always immediate or obvious.
Yeah.
You're doing that hard work, watering that seed daily, trusting that eventually it will grow into the tree of fluency.
That long road metaphor you mentioned earlier.
Yes, grit means staying on that road, even if progress feels slow. Consistency and deliberate practice keep you moving forward. And it's okay to rest. If you're burnt out, take a break. Rest is important for learning, too.
But the key is not letting the rest turn into quitting.
Exactly. Rest, recharge, but then get back on the road. Return to that focused, consistent practice. That's the cycle.
Okay, we've got the what, grit, the how, passion, perseverance, consistency, deliberate practice. Now we need the deep why. What keeps people going when passion temporarily fades or when perseverance feels impossible?
Right, this is about the ultimate motivational drivers, the things that give the effort meaning beyond just the task itself. And the research points strongly to 2 powerful concepts here, purpose and hope.
Purpose and hope.
Okay.
These operate at a higher level, really. Purpose gives your effort direction and meaning, while hope gives you the belief you need to keep going, especially after setbacks.
Let's start with the why. Our 5th key vocabulary word is purpose.
Purpose. Let's hear the sound again. Purpose.
Purpose.
And one more. Purpose.
Spelling is P-U-R-P-O-S-E. P-U-R-P-O-S-E. So purpose here means the fundamental overarching reason why you're pursuing a goal. Gritty people, the research shows, tend to have a strong, clear sense of purpose. It's a goal that's not only interesting to them personally,
Like passion.
right, but it's also connected in some way to the well-being of others. It has a sense of contribution.
Ah, okay. So it's bigger than just personal enjoyment or achievement.
Yes. Duckworth talks about a hierarchy of goals. You have low-level goals, like finish this lesson, mid-level goals, like pass the B2 exam. But the highest level goal, the purpose, is often about how your efforts connect to the wider world.
So passion is more about what you love, what interests you personally, but purpose is about what you feel you can give or contribute through that passion.
That's a fantastic way to put it. Passion is often intrinsic enjoyment. Purpose links that enjoyment to service or impact.
And having that strong purpose helps when things get really tough.
Definitely. It provides a deep well of motivation. When you're tired or discouraged, remembering your purpose, why this struggle matters beyond just yourself, can give you the energy to continue. It reframes the effort.
So for an English learner, the purpose might not just be, I want to be fluent. It might be, I want to be fluent so that I can connect better with my international colleagues, or so that I can understand global news directly, or
So that I can help my children learn English and open up their opportunities,
Mm.
or so I can volunteer effectively in a multilingual community, or so I can share my own culture's ideas with a wider audience.
it links the personal goal to something external, something meaningful in a broader sense.
Exactly. That shift from pure self-interest to including an element of service or contribution seems key for long-term endurance. Passion might fluctuate, but a strong sense of purpose tends to be more stable and robust.
So when you feel like giving up, you ask not just, do I still enjoy this, but maybe also, does this effort still serve my larger purpose?
That's the idea. Your honest answer to that second question can be a powerful motivator. Let's try purpose in a couple of sentences.
Okay.
Example sentence 1. The philanthropist articulated that his overarching purpose was not merely wealth accumulation, but the establishment of educational infrastructure, leveraging accessible, multilingual resources.
Very clear linked contribution there. Next.
Example sentence 2. When his motivation flagged, he recalled that his purpose-securing effective cross-cultural dialogue was an insufficient antidote to self-doubt. Wait, let me rephrase that second one to be positive. That came out wrong. When his motivation flagged, recalling his purpose-securing effective cross-cultural dialogue was a powerful antidote to self-doubt.
Much better. Yes. Purpose as the cure for doubt. Got it.
Okay, so purpose gives direction. But what happens when you try, driven by purpose, and you still fail? You make a mistake, you get negative feedback, you just don't succeed yet. What brings you back to try again?
That sounds like where our final word comes in. Hope.
Exactly. Hope. Listen to that sound. Hope.
Hope.
One last time. Hope.
Spelling, H-O-P-E.
H-O-P-E. Now, hope in this context isn't just wishful thinking. It's not passive optimism like, I hope things get better.
No. How is it different?
It's an active belief. It's the belief that your future can be better than your present, specifically because you have the power to make it so through your own efforts. It's hope grounded in agency.
Ah, so it connects to the idea that you can actually change your abilities.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Duckworth explicitly links this kind of hope to Carol Dweck's concept of a growth mindset. The belief that intelligence and abilities aren't fixed traits you're born with, but things that can be developed through dedication and hard work.
So gritty hope isn't, I hope I magically become fluent. It's more like, okay, I really messed up that conversation today, but I believe I can improve my speaking skills. Therefore, I will dedicate my practice time tomorrow to working on conversational fillers and fluency.
Perfect example. It transforms failure. Instead of seeing as proof you can't do it, you see it as information about what you need to work on. Failure becomes a temporary state, not a final verdict. Hope says, my effort matters. I can get better.
It's the belief that trying again actually makes a difference.
Yes. It's an affirmation of your own ability to influence your future. Every time you choose to revisit that difficult grammar point after getting it wrong, or choose to initiate another conversation in English despite past embarrassment, you are actively performing hope.
You're demonstrating the belief that today's effort shapes tomorrow's ability.
Exactly. Hope is what refuels resilience. It stops a bad practice session from turning into, I'm just no good at English.
Yeah.
Instead, it allows you to say, okay, that was tough. I'll try a different approach tomorrow. Or simply, I'll try again tomorrow.
It's the engine that keeps the whole grit cycle, passion, perseverance, purpose moving forward after a setback.
Beautifully summarized. Let's get our final two examples in for hope.
Okay.
Example sentence 1. Fueled by an unwavering hope rooted in the belief in neuroplasticity, the student maintained her practice regimen despite the discouragingly slow rate of improvement.
Belief in neuroplasticity. Love that connection. Okay, last one.
Example sentence 2. Hope transforms a struggle into a temporary challenge, providing the necessary emotional fortitude to withstand prolonged periods of apparent stagnation. Hashtag tag text tag 4.3. Building grit like a muscle.
Okay, so we built this whole picture. Grit, fueled by passion and perseverance, sustained by consistency and deliberate practice, and anchored by purpose and hope. It's quite a framework.
It really is.
What's the big takeaway for someone listening, maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed by it all?
I think the single most encouraging message from all this research is that grit isn't something you're just born with or without. It's not like eye color. It's more like a muscle.
Meaning you can build it?
Exactly. You can train it. You can develop it through conscious effort and practice day by day.
So how do you do that? Is there like a grit workout plan?
Sort of. The research essentially boils down to a 4-step process, which conveniently recaps everything we've talked about.
Okay, let's hear the 4 steps to building grit.
Step 1. Cultivate interest. Start by exploring aspects of English or whatever your goal is that genuinely fascinate you. Find your connection. Music, movies, technology, history. Follow your curiosity. That's the seed of passion.
Find the fun, or at least the genuine interest. Got it. Step 2.
Step 2. Engage in deliberate practice. This is the consistency piece. Show up every day, even if it's just for a short time. But make that time count. Focus intently on improving a specific weakness, something just beyond your current ability. Get feedback if you can. Adjust. Repeat.
Work hard, but work smart on the things that are actually difficult for you. Okay, step 3.
Step 3. Establish purpose. Think beyond yourself. Connect your goal learning English to a larger why. How will this skill help you contribute, connect, or serve others? Define that purpose clearly. It's your motivational anchor.
Find the bigger meaning. Makes sense. And step 4.
Step 4. Embrace hope. This is about your mindset towards failure and challenge. Actively cultivate the belief that you can improve with effort. When you stumble, don't see it as final. See it as feedback. Learn from it, adjust, and actively choose to try again. That's hope in action.
Interest, practice, purpose, hope. It sounds like a cycle you keep reinforcing.
It is.
Yeah.
And every time you make a small choice aligned with these steps, choosing to really listen actively instead of passively, forcing yourself to write that email in English instead of taking the easy way out, reviewing vocabulary, even when you're tired, you're doing a rip in your grit workout.
You're strengthening that muscle. You're training not just your brain, but your mindset, your heart for the long journey.
That's it. It's about committing to that continuous, deliberate return to the work. That's the essence of grit. And it applies far beyond just learning English. Hashtag outro.
Wow. Okay. That was a really comprehensive deep dive. We've gone from defining grit to understanding its components and figuring out how to actually build it. We didn't just learn words, we learned a whole approach to tackling challenges.
Yeah, it's a powerful framework. Let's quickly recap those 6 key vocabulary words we focused on today. These are words you really want to integrate into your own advanced English.
Right. We started with the core concept, grit. Remember, GRIT, that blend of passion and perseverance for long-term goals.
Then we broke it down. First, passion, Passion, that deep, enduring love and interest that fuels you.
Followed by perseverance, the long one, Perseverance, that strength to keep going, especially through difficulty and failure.
Then we looked at the how, being consistent, Consistea, showing up regularly, making small, steady progress through deliberate practice.
And finally, the deep why, your purpose, Purpose, connecting your goal to something bigger than yourself, a contribution.
And hope, Hope, that active belief that your effort matters and that you can improve, allowing you to return after setbacks.
Grit, passion, perseverance, consistent purpose, hope. Got it.
The fundamental message here, I think, is incredibly freeing. You don't need to be the most naturally talented person in the room. You don't need to be the fastest learner.
What do you need then?
You just need to be the one who keeps showing up, the one who stays on the road, practicing consistently, learning from mistakes for the longest time. Keep trying tomorrow and the day after. That's achievable for anyone.
And the very fact that you, our listeners, are tuning into a deep dive like this, focusing on improving your understanding and vocabulary, that itself shows you have commitment. You have the seeds of grit already.
Absolutely. It's just about nurturing it, organizing it, and consciously deploying it every day.
So maybe tomorrow morning when you think about your English practice, just remind yourself, my effort makes a difference. I can improve. I have grit.
That's a powerful affirmation.
And as always, we want to leave you with a final thought, something to chew on, something actionable. Here it is. We've talked about failure being diagnostic information telling you where to focus. So think about this past week. What's one specific mistake you made in English?
Maybe a word you misused, a pronunciation you flubbed, a grammar rule you got wrong.
Identify that one specific thing, and then how can you make that mistake the focus of your deliberate, consistent practice, even just for 10 minutes starting tomorrow?